Hi, this is Profiles. We're at the Peel Hotel in Melbourne. Now, Profiles is this half-hour program we've been doing on people in the community, the fag, lesbian, transgender, bisexual, whatever, part of the community. And they're not necessarily famous people, they're people that we actually think contribute or we find interesting ourselves. But we're about to interview Claude. Now, Claude works at or manages, I've never really worked it out or whatever, this place called the Dome Nightclub. Now, we don't only say what we did last night, but because they're not sponsors, they don't give us cash, but they do give us door take every now and again. But I've got to tell you right now, Claude, if you ever put me on that door list again, you're in trouble. Hello, welcome to Profiles. Because I'm feeling lousy after no sleep. How are you feeling?
Totally throbbed out.
Big night, big night.
That was a big night, yeah.
Now, hello, who are you, Claude, and why do you think we're interviewing you?
Wow. Well, I'm Claude, I run the Dome Nightclub. I've been around for longer than most people realise, way back 397 days, I think, and done bits and pieces, even though I hadn't been right out there with the community as such, always behind the scenes, always supporting the community, done lots of things. In the last 4 years, I've developed Jane as a drag person, and I run a Dome Nightclub, which is perhaps the biggest mixed dance venue, most successful mixed dance venue I think that Melbourne's had for a long time. Okay. But we're still pulling 2,000 people in.
Yeah, 2,000 people. I'm not going to get into this whole promotion stuff, no. But what I am fascinated about, I mean, you are a bit of a wog boy, no offence.
Absolutely.
And the mob that are there are big wog boys and big wog girls, and they actually don't have a problem with the fags and the dykes. It actually kind of works.
That's right. Absolutely.
Why? Because it's really weird. They're the kind of mob you think they're going to punch you out. You know, Muscle Mary, kind of really big gym boys. I mean, I'm trying to explain how big this mob are.
Gorillas in the mist, I call them.
Gorillas in the mist. Why do you think they actually work so well with just, what is it?
Well, they're a dance club culture, and I think they've been educated through years of dance club cultures and been exposed to gay people and drag queens and transsexuals and whatever that, you know, we all come to party. It's not about so much the sexual preference and orientation of a club that chooses to party. It's about having a good time and people respecting each other within an environment, be it, you know, with drug takes or whatever the dance culture pronounces, basically. So there is that stuff. I've had 5 weeks off, and I came back last week, people were saying, gee, it's so good that you're here. I'm like the Florence Nightingale in the back bar, and people are so used to just having that stability there where they can chat to me or whatever. And I think it's just progressed. I mean, you know, that's what we've worked so hard for such a long time, and I think the Dome's, you know, has that. We've never had a gay bashing there, or we've never had, you know, in 5-6 years of its existence. So it's a good thing. Yeah, they just accept that people are people and people are going to party. Obviously, like, you know, if a boy goes too far with the boy, if a drag goes too far with the drag, if a girl goes too far with whatever, I mean, it's got to do with attitudes.
Okay, attitudes. Let's go back. You mentioned a place called 397. Now, of course, I was too young to have been there, and I think that my big brother told me about it. Was that the one in Elizabeth Street?
That's right.
Now, it was a bit of a wild place because it was just around the corner from a men's place called a sauna, which of course I've never been to it, but my big brother told me that as well. Right. Now 397, has the culture changed from those days?
Absolutely.
In what way?
I think we seeked out clubs of where we felt stimulated and safe to go to, I suppose, and it was the whole underground element. I think it has changed to a lot. People are over that and just, you know, have their shit together or their life together and just choose to go, this place advocates this type of crowd, this place advocates this type of crowd, I want an all-male bar, or I want a sex venue, or I want to go to a mixed venue, or whatever. It's about people that have just developed, I think, through time. I think it has changed to a lot degree. It's a lot more open these days, perhaps, the acceptance of what you choose to do, wherever. I mean, I don't think if a drag queen walks down the street these days, my God, there's a drag queen. It's more like, oh yeah, there's another one.
Okay, on that level, another one. You were known as, and you still are known as, Miss Jane.
Yeah.
Now, you know, I've got certain views about drag.
Go for it.
No. I mean, I want to be entertained, as
Sure.
we all know, and I don't give a stuff could be drag kings, drag queens, as long as they entertain
As
me.
long as they're entertainers.
And as long as they take me somewhere. But a lot of the places, as you know, and you know what I think about a street where you run your organisation from, which we call the Vanilla Road. We're not going to say the C word on air. And I look at a lot of the shows and I go,
What? Why?
Now, let's go back to you. Why did you chuck a dress on? Was that to get a root or what?
No, to get a root. No, Claude does really fine with picking up roots. It just felt my way, actually. 4 years ago, I'm a 42-year-old male, happy gay male, spend most of my life being bisexual, but happy 42, and I can get sex wherever I feel like I want to. I mean, I don't have a problem with that. That whole myth about doing drag because you're an ugly boy, I don't really believe that works for everyone. I was conned into it for a friend's birthday party, threw on a dress, happened to be leopard skin, and I thought, okay, Jane will do. And I was out of work at the time, and I knew the owners. They approached me to run the bar, and I said, no way. And then went home and thought about it, thought it could be fun. I think I'm living a gay fantasy. I mean, through wearing a dress, I didn't realise, I mean, the issues that I've catered in the last 4 years and what I've achieved, I don't think were what I perceived I could do when I first started. When I first started, it was a bit of fun. It was extra cash flow because I needed a job and do support my elderly mother who's quite ill. People don't realise that. And there were my own personal needs. I was at a loose end in my life and it was a bit of fun. I was single and I thought, yep, I'll live the fantasy. I mean, you know, I've done VFL football, I've done rugby league players, I've done lots of boys that perhaps that, you know, so I think it's just a balance for me. Then I became a voice. And gay culture liked what I had to say and found stimulated and inspired by perhaps what I had to say. And they saw, well, here's this nobody, come from nowhere, running a bar in a big, large dance venue. What's he about? What's she about? And had a good time at it and made some money and advocated things like the Pride Awards and significant moments.
Look, that was just a poster falling down. Left over from last night.
Yes.
Yeah, this place is haunted. We're at the Peel Hotel in Melbourne. We know it's haunted.
So the issue for actually putting on a dress was a bit of fun initially. Basically a bit of fun because I felt a void in my life and it just grew from there. It wasn't meant to be. I thought it'd last a month or two, a bit of fun in a bar, in a mixed straight venue and just have a good time and earn some really good money, and which I did. And sure, but I do understand the whole thing about drag. I mean, I'm pretty over drag myself as far as entertainment goes. There aren't that.
Ignore the poster. It'll finally hit the ground. Don't worry about it. Keep going.
I'm pretty over it, and that's why I've actually come back, relaunched myself, and relaunched the bar, and relaunched my own dance shows, and just move in with the time. There are some great entertainers. I don't aspire to be a great entertainer, even though I've done a lot of entertainment.
Okay. Now you're a North Fitzroy little wog boy.
Yep.
How did you come out, and what was that process like? Because I understand, in fact I know,
Yeah.
you're involved in Victorian AIDS Council,
Yeah.
and you're doing a lot of work with the Italian group there.
Yeah.
What was it like coming out as a little wog boy in North Fitzroy?
To be honest, Graeme, I mean, whether it's a rarity, I never felt the issue of coming out. I never actually had that burden or that, God, I've got to come out. I stumbled across gay venues. I think my first one was Blades back in the city, and a few others where I was asked to work as a stripper and sort of stuff, believe it or not. And here was a 17-year-old boy going off to these venues and working in gay venues. I thought, okay, so there are gay venues that do exist, fantastic. Still got on with my life and just used them. I've always used what I've wanted to suit me, and my issue has not been my sexuality, my issue has been my happiness, and that really is true. So I've been, touch wood, I mean, I've never had that burden of actually coming out. My parents have been fantastic. My dad used to manage the Woolshed Bar, the notorious Woolshed Bar.
Yeah, now on that level, for people that don't know, I think my father told me this story.
Right.
You're the notorious Woolshed Bar, and there's that one out the back, and anyway, so your old man was managing
That's right.
the only faggot venue.
That's right.
Until the famous kissing occurred.
That's right.
Which was, we all got arrested and was fantastic.
That's right.
So he was quite cool about you being a faggot, considering, let's be quite honest, that what was that back bar called?
The Woolshed Bar?
No, the back.
The
of
Boomerang
Australia.
Bar?
Downstairs. That little den bar.
I don't know, I can't remember.
Okay.
I was never allowed to enter.
Yeah, well,
'Cause I
believe
was the
me.
manager's son, so I wasn't allowed to be seen there.
Exactly. Well, it was pretty seedy at times, but he was still cool about the subculture.
Absolutely, absolutely. Like I never actually came out and told Dad, look, I'm gay. I just used to bring my girlfriend home or my boyfriend home or whoever I was seeing at the time. I mean, I always focused my life on being happy as opposed to sexuality. the issue of sexuality, that if I chose to love this person, this woman, or this man, that's what I would do. And I grew up that way, and I think, look, my first full-on gay experience was when I was 26, which is actually quite late in life.
Hellishly late.
Yes.
Now, the kids that you're dealing with at the moment through the Victorian AIDS Council,
Yep.
what are their problems in the Italian area as coming out, or whatever? Do they have problems?
Oh, they have lots of problems, yeah, absolutely. I mean, the 17, 18-year-old, there's the whole thing of denial, there's the whole thing of not being accepted. Will they tell them? So I'm just trying, I try and advocate to them. I think it's really important. My own experience, that's all I can do, is say, okay, well, don't make that your issue. Get on with your life, your career, your happiness, and what you choose to do. The right time, right place, you'll be able to advocate that in the right way. You don't have to, I personally believe you don't have to prove nothing to nobody. It's more about that. I think you should relax on that. If you feel the need to sit your mother down and tell her, do so. If you feel you need to tell your mother and not your father, or just your father, or just your brother, or just your sister, or in progressions, things will evolve. But the whole pressure at 17, when they're studying and they've got careers and they've got this and they also have to come out, it's really hard for them. And I tell them, just relax with it, one stage at a time. Just focus and be happy. And that's the best message I can give them.
Right.
It's a lot more involved than that, obviously. Yeah.
We're going to come back after, because we're going to have to go with subscribe on a sponsorship break shortly.
Sure.
But I want to talk about the thing that you did most recently, which stuck in my mind. Actually, I'm going to talk about what the thing you did last night, but that water gig, that was wild. But the Pride Awards. Now, we'll really get into the Pride Awards later on, but obviously there's been a bit of flack about it. I mean, I've read all the email shit on Q Melbourne, whatever it's called, and I know on Bink TV, Tabitha turned around and said there were too many dykes involved, and of course we ourselves shot it, and we saw drag shows, and we were there too, drinking, having a wild time. Do you reckon there were too many dykes?
Absolutely not.
Well, I reckon this ghost stars. There goes the other poster.
No, look, I mean, Tabitha is allowed to have her opinions just like everybody else have. I think some people have overreacted to Tabitha's opinions, but I also believe that, no. My goal with the Pride Awards, A, was to pull it through single-handedly, but also to have the largest amount of integrity, bring it back to basics and represent the community spirit in the best way it is now, today. A lot of the, I think Tab's referral to presenters, lesbian presenters, was, I think that's what she was referring to. Well, all the organisations presented are actually run by lesbians, so therefore they were the chosen presenter because they run the organisation. It was not about whether you're a lesbian or whether you're a male or female or whatever you are. It was about who does the best for its job, for the job.
Yeah, well, look, we're going to come back after this break quite seriously and talk about the Pride Awards and explain exactly what they were and so forth. Then I want to get back into history stuff, and hopefully with the posters falling down this place, we're not going to talk about last night too much, but that, once again, that water concept worked. I was really impressed. This is Claude. We're out of here. This is Profiles. We'll be back very shortly. G'day, this is Profiles. I'm with Claude. Now, Claude is known around town as Miss Jane. Also hangs around, gets paid by a nightclub to run it and stuff like that. And I'm looking at this camera, and the boy behind it is Robbie, of course, one of our volunteers, because we're all volunteers. He was actually operating the lights with Trace McFarlane, who's one of our directors, at the Dome that night of the Pride Awards. Explain to me what the Pride Awards were, to the viewers, more to the point, because we know about the Rainbow Awards, and all of a sudden you decided you'd do this whole community thing. What was it?
Well, the history of award ceremony in Melbourne, you had the Rainbow Awards and then the Diva Awards and then the defunct Rainbow Awards and the defunct Diva Awards, and all the speculation that came out of the defunct Diva Awards. And I thought, well, basically I was on air one day with K Sarah and I just said, well, this is what I'm going to do, and it will be the Tuesday before. And then I felt, well, now I've got to put my actions where my mouth was, and I just felt I wanted to show the gay community that an award ceremony can be done to honour people, the hard workers behind the scenes, and in whatever spectrum. And I threw the ceremony together. I wanted to bring it back to basics. I felt that it is a community event. Community people are acknowledged and nominated what is our community, and the best way of showcasing that is to bring it back to basics, to have a good meal, to have a sit down, to be able to have a laugh, to resurrect people that have done lots of things in our community that perhaps aren't always media sluts or so, and just give everyone a chance and make it as fair as possible, from the comparing through your trophy barrier, through your presenters, through your shows. The shows were all the venues, and that's, whether you like it or not, they're the venues that have shows, and that's what they put on, which I thought was fantastic, and it all balanced out.
Well, okay, from my view it actually worked.
Yeah.
And I was like cynical, like many people were, supportive, but cynical.
Sure.
And
so was I.
Yeah, well, absolutely.
Absolutely.
I mean, and quite honestly, to pull that off in that short time period and to get everyone involved, I know, it's a damn miracle. And costing it also, just think, how in the hell are you going to make a profit, let alone make a profit and give it back? Now we know, Tom, at the Peel Hotel where we are, paid $4,000 for Kylie's undies, which is actually going on display here next week in this new bar area, but you can't look at it right now. You'll see this next week when we actually when they unveil it.
Sure.
There'll be another party.
Well, thank God for Collie's undies.
Absolutely.
Because that was $4,000. The total raised, press haven't printed this, but the total raised after all expenses, I mean right down to your last cent, no one's owed anything, was $4,918, which was broken down between Pride March, AIDS Care and Make-A-Wish Foundation. All three charities have received their funds.
It's great, and next time it'll be Bent TV. Thank you for that.
Absolutely.
On air saying that. Drugs. Let's talk drugs.
Right.
Because the scene's full of drugs.
Absolutely.
Every scene's full of drugs. And dance party scene, fags, dives, drugs. What do you reckon? What's your view?
On drugs?
Yeah.
I try to avoid as far as possible, personal my own views, and people think I'm a bit sort of old-fashioned or stuff. I didn't take my first ecstasy till 2 years ago at Mardi Gras. And mind you, I'm 42 now, so I was 40 when I had my first pill, and that is the truth. Probably had half a dozen since then, at different times, different moods. I can't say, look, I like to have a few drinks and get drunk, and if I'm having a good time, if I'm not having a good time, I go home. It's just as simple as that. I like energy of people around me, I like good music, and that. It is a worry with young kids these days, and I see the way, I can see a youngster coming into the bar at, say, 19 or whatever, and then 2 years later I can see the way he's developed or she's developed. Hey, it's a choice. I don't disapprove of drug take, but I don't encourage it. No.
You're right. Okay, we've established it's right in the scene, and it absolutely is. And
it is.
And it's going to be interesting to see what's going to happen in 10 years' time with the amount of consumption, what's going to happen to people's brains and so forth. I've seen you out at lesbian bars, at liquor bars, and I see you out at like the Glass House and other places a hell of a lot. Why do you also get out to dyke bars all the time?
I love my dyke bars. My first gay friends were actually dykes, and that's who I grew up with. I didn't have any other gay friends. I was a private Catholic boys' school. Lots of better conversation, lots of good times. There isn't that whole sleazy element of having to pick or having to compete in boy bars and stuff like that. It's far more relaxing. I can go with a lover or a partner, and he's not being Chris and I'm not being Chris, so I'm not going home after and arguing. It's just more relaxed, and I just enjoy it. I enjoy women and always have.
Okay, now we know that we're being crewed by a bunch of dykes here today, so we're going to be very careful what we say. But
that was good, I thought.
Yeah, absolutely. It was very PC. But on that level of conversation, is it just me, or am I just so bored talking to dickhead faggots? And I'm like, sure, I mean, majority of my friends are dykes too. I couldn't score a man, obviously. But the conversation level is different. Is this just because we're not feeling threatened, or do you reckon because they're, a great percentage of women had realised they've grown in a patriarchal society, have gone through a feministic process, and particularly as dykes, why are we getting better conversations out of dykes?
Don't know, but I know it's not just you, Graeme. I've been like that for a hell of a long time. I mean, I started my own drag bar because I was bored with gay culture. Literally bored with going to boy clubs. So I don't know. I think as your preference changes, I mean, I literally did. I looked around when I came back from Los Angeles just before I started Jane's Bar, and I looked around and went to the gay scene, and I just didn't like what was happening. I don't really know why. I mean, I could give you all sorts of opinions on television, but I don't really look. I just think the level of conversation's better. I just think the cruise element isn't so severe in a girl bar. Sure, they're there to cruise, but it's not so severe. I mean, it's not all what it's about. But you know, you go to a boy bar and most of it tends to be just the cruise element in a club with your pills and blah blah blah, and off you go and see what you can do and how much you can get and all the rest of it. The pressure seems to be constant there. Whereas I like to go out after I've worked a hard day and have a social drink and chat about whatever to who, whatever. And I just find that element better in a girl bar.
Yeah, it is kind of. Drag kings. Yeah. There's some pretty amazing drag king shows around, and like I think they're getting back next week. There's just been this tour where Motherfucker has just toured America at like 27 cities, our own from Melbourne. What do you reckon about drag kings versus queens?
I love drag kings, and why not? You know, it's all about entertainment. You said before, some of them are great entertainment, some of them aren't. But it's their expression. It's what, hey, that's what they want to do. Go for it. You go, girls.
Now,
absolutely.
AIDS, because we're running out of time. AIDS. HIV, because I know you've been involved for years in fundraising. That's actually how we met a long time ago. And you gave all that money to Amnesty International. But going back to AIDS, what's your view on old HIV?
Well, it's very scary to know that the increase of safe sex is, you know, on the rise. Look, I just, you know, I'm an advocate for safe sex, total advocate for safe sex. I've marched Mardi Gras hanging out safe sex packs, you know, 7-inch Fredericks to try and prove my point as far as what I could do. Yeah, it is. It's very scary. Look, if it's not on, it's just not on. I mean, it all comes to personal issues and respecting your body and yourself and being happiness and finding the happiness. I can't stress that anymore. That if you're happy with oneself, everything else tends to fall in place. If you're not happy with oneself, you'll take too many drugs. You'll get yourself in situations that you'll regret later. You know, really get into yourself irrespective of your sexuality. And I really believe that. You know, become a wholesome person. There's a big world out there. Enjoy it, love life, embrace life. Don't go the other extreme, you know, party fast and die young. Unfortunately, I think that's really quite sad. And to all the young kids, I'm sort of saying, hey, you can do what you want to do. You can be what you want to be. You can be happy. Yeah, you just happen to be gay.
Yeah, we talked about community before, and I'm not convinced there is a community. I've always said that there's the commercial sector, but that's not the real community. The majority of faggots and dykes are living in the suburbs and leading normal lives like us all. Sure. But the commercial press makes us think that we're inward looking the whole time and this is the entire party thing. Apart from that issue, what else frustrates you? What frustrates you about the scene?
That they are their own worst enemy. That you're damned if you do, in the words of Lindsay and a lot of people lately, you're damned if you do and you're damned if you don't. You know, I try and pronounce goodness, I try and do the best as an individual, and yet I have people that constantly try to attack or siege me. I suppose that's part of life, but when it really hurts when it comes from your own peers, that you're actually trying to advocate a better world for them and the rest. You know, it really can be hurtful. Again, they're sad individuals. I think they should look at themselves and just try and better themselves and not, you know, whinge and carry on and stuff. You know, I mean, 4 years ago, if a drag queen would come into my bar, how are you, doll? She'd say, oh, terrible, my shoes hurt, I feel horrible, I look ugly, blah, blah, blah. I would talk to her for 5 hours. 4 years later, if a drag queen comes in my bar and she feels like I said, doll, you look fantastic, but go home and start all over again tomorrow. You need a good sleep.
If you were giving advice out there, because like we get 1 out of 5 Melburnians watch Channel 31, and we've discovered through the latest research that they actually more watch Boring Monday Night, which is when we do the main show. This will be on a Monday night as well as other times.
Never boring, Graeme.
Oh, shut up! Sometimes it's terrible. It's community television, warts and all. But we're one aspect of the media, sure. And if you tell the straights out there in Movieland. What you don't like about what they think of us. What image are we giving them through our radio, through our bad TV, through our press? Do you think they're getting the wrong idea about us?
Open up your mind a bit more. Don't judge it. You've got bad and good in every culture. You know, the diversity of our gay culture, the diversity of the straight culture is both so diverse. Don't be so pigmented and just, you know, think that everything is like, whether it's Graeme's opinions or my opinions or Tabitha's opinions, that we are all so diverse, just like yourselves.
Now, on that diversity, the Dome is closing because it's going to be a big
Yep.
office block,
Yep.
hotel,
Apartment,
whatever. Well, that'll just be the end of that venue, and you'll move on to somewhere else, or what?
Yeah, I believe it's due next year. There are a lot of speculations. This rumour's been going on and on for a long time. I believe it will be about June next year, perhaps. Sure, we'll have a closing downtime. Mark Yorovich, the owner, may be looking to another venue. It could be the end of that. Jay might get in, get a life. It doesn't look. I'll worry about that as it comes. I deal with the issues as they come.
Yeah.
But I do believe we've got another year run.
Okay. Well, we don't know what's going to happen there. Claude, there was like so much other stuff I wanted to ask you,
problem.
but I talk about this stuff to you in bars and in coffee shops and stuff like that.
Oh, that's good.
But thank you for being here. Thank you for getting the Pride Awards together. And don't ever put me on that door list again to that venue we're not mentioning again. And thanks on behalf of Bent for that last fundraiser and stuff like that. This has been Profiles, and we're out of here. And you're going to be seeing this around Australia too. What if Mum sees it?
She'll love it.
Oh, good, good. But she's a sweetheart. Well, I've never met her, of course, as you know, but just on the telephone. So that's been Profiles, and this has been Claude, Miss Jane, and he does a few things around this town and stuff like that.
Yeah, and I'll keep doing them.
Yeah.
As Paul said, I'm a doer.
Cool.